How we doing, folks? Jay from Cold Nights here, and I am joined by my good pals, Phil One Up Collects. How you doing, Phil? And we got the ghost with the most, Zoo. How you doing, buddy? Of course, of course, nothing good is happening. Nothing good is happening. So we've come together tonight as kind of a reunion of the angry old men talking about video games. And unfortunately, how bad the industry is right now. It's kind of a tough place to be a consumer in and to exist in. There is literally every day more bad news, whether it's layoffs, price hikes, games going to key cards, code and box, key discs, whatever you want to call the PlayStation and Microsoft versions of it. We have problems with localizations where everything is getting, uh, you know, filtered out so it doesn't offend the modern audience. We have an all out assault on our privacy as consumers and players of games and watchers of anime and entertainment. You name it, and it is currently under assault. So I thought it was time to come together and kind of talk about what's going on. But I wanted to start off the show with my kind of opening thought. And that the other day, when I kind of thought about doing this, and I knew my two brothers here would be down for it, I was sitting there and I was thinking about how spoiled we are with the amount of games that are on tap right now that you can get physically or digitally across all the platforms. And I thought, gaming is good. But when I think back to what it was like growing up, and I take off the rose colored glasses, um, I can see that things were not great when we were coming up as far as like availability sometimes, and you had no real online gaming or digital games available. But the thing that really stood out to me when I was comparing the two eras was that right now, with this constant news cycle for entertainment and games, there is no more mystery to it. There is no more whimsy to it. I remember going into a Walmart or a Funkoland or later on GameStop and being surprised by seeing new releases, being excited to see games that I had never seen before. Right now, there's a constant barrage of news, and before a game comes out, you know every single thing about it. You know all the plot points, you know all the good and the bad. And in a way, that's good for consumers because you can kind of make a more informed decision, but it certainly takes some of the magic out of it. And that's the kind of point and discussion I wanted to open with because as spoiled as we are, I really feel down when I look at what I did in the past and how magical walking into those places felt, or how magical hearing about a game on the playground or at work felt, as opposed to seeing it every day on Twitter and seeing every content creator and every media outlet's 2 cents be thrown into it. What do you guys think about that? There we go. All right. So, Zoo, why don't you go ahead while we wait for Phil to come back now that that's fixed? Sorry about that, folks. A little hiccup
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So, what I would kind of say about things is there's a great book by Alan Fraser called The Golden Bough, and one of the things it talks about is it talks about the way a society goes from mythos to religion and from religion to science, and essentially what his thing is everybody starts on equal ground with thinking they're on equal ground with gods and demons and spirits and things of that nature, from a philosophical or religious point of view. And then, so for example, this leads to things like rain dances or shooting fire arrows in the air to demand the sunrise. Now, eventually, what will happen is the rain dance will fail, or the arrows won't cause the sun to rise because of an eclipse something like that. Then they have to grapple with, okay, why is this happening? And so that leads to the age of religion because, of course, then leaders and spiritualists step up and say, I can interpret the signs, etc. But now the idea that humankind is on the same level of power as nature is shattered. And now we are lesser than nature. Over time, we will seek to understand that God, and that will lead to science. And it's kind of a cycle, is basically what he did it as. What I'm trying to say is, it's kind of a long winded way of saying that video games are a very young medium. And so that age of magic has accelerated to a point where there's less and less of it as time goes on. So in the age of science, it's very cool that we know kind of the intricacies of how things work, but at the same time, it kind of ruins some of the mystery and the mysticism and the spectacle of exactly what you're dealing with. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I
Yeah,
can definitely see that, but please understand that video games are a very young medium compared to just about anything else: books, movies, sports. Sports are ancient, right? Plays. So what I would tell people, and I've often told people that I've popped some of our internet friends' heads when I've said things like the Shigeru Miyamoto's, the Sid Meier's. I don't think those are the true masters that will be remembered for their craft. They will be remembered as the trailblazers, but often those original innovators aren't remembered as the master classes. They're the original innovators. We haven't seen the best of what gaming has to offer yet. My fear is if we continue to do some of these business practices, we'll kill that early and we'll never find out what gaming's capable of.
I could definitely see that happening for sure. Like when I think about this constant 24-hour media cycle and how it is now, and how I said that kind of ruins the magic of things, I really think that a lot of the same stuff was happening when we were younger, but we didn't have immediate access to all of it as it happened. It wasn't a live feed update of every business decision that these companies made, of every change that was made to a video game. Let's look at the localization that everyone's complaining about for Trails in the Sky right now. If that was 25 years ago, we would only have heard about the changes if some developer came out and talked about it. Or some otaku 5 years down the line is like, I played the original Japanese one and could read it, and then I played the English one, and here's the differences. We wouldn't even have known about that. So I really think
True.
that a lot of the things that
No,
are
no, we
real
would.
spoilers for us, as far as the fun we're having, wouldn't exist back in the day, or they would be on such a delayed cycle of news that they're really not there to ruin the moment.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, you were saying that. Just look at Persona One on the PS1 compared to what was in Japan. Some of the characters completely changed. Like their ethnicity, their background, their ethnic background was completely changed. I think they made it into like a black kid or something, but over there it was Asian. Um, I don't think people knew about that right from the beginning. I think it took years, maybe, for us to know the changes, and nobody really noticed or cared. They just played the game because, I mean, like I said, the internet and social media wasn't really a thing.
But could you
It
imagine
was so.
nowadays, though, if you took a black character and made them white, or a white character and made them black, the
Oh
amount
my god.
of explosion there would be online and the
Yeah,
immediate
you would be buried.
backlash? And
Yeah,
re-
massively, massively.
it's it really is something, when you look at those things in hindsight, they're not as crazy feeling.
Yeah.
But now, as soon as someone even mentioned it, or they said they planned to do something like that, there would be a huge outcry over it. And I think it kind of magnifies a lot of the negativity. So you'll see like one small change,
Mhm.
or you see like a price increase, or one of the many bad things that are going on, and it immediately is in your face. And it immediately affects your enjoyment and consumption of the media. Think about all these games that got such a bad rap, right? Like let's think about um, games like Dragon's Dogma with like all that like stuff that you had to pay for in the DLC and how people got so mad when that game came out. Let's think about the new Dragon Age game and how there was so much backlash to what people said was DEI and things like that. But the thing was, I actually played the game for quite a few hours and it's pretty good. Like that part that everyone was talking about with the character and the non-binary thing, maybe it's weird for some people, right? But it was literally just like a few moments in the game. The game is actually good. The gameplay was good. The story was pretty good. So that literally could have ruined someone's enjoyment of that media when it really wasn't that bad. And then, of course, what you wouldn't have had before also was the developer, I think it was the art director, doubling down and arguing with fans online about the creative ways and decisions in the game, and he's insulting people and egging people on. That wouldn't have happened in 1995 because you didn't have access to the developers of the games. Now, if
Most of the time,
Miyamoto
you
makes a
didn't even
decision
know-
that someone doesn't like, or Yoshi P makes a decision someone doesn't like, there's immediate debate with the person themselves. It literally is ruining everything. And I think it's a part of this debate about modern gaming that no one talks about. Imagine if, when Kojima put out his first game, or any of these famous guys, imagine if there was immediate anger and backlash for every little thing they did.
Well, we've kind of gone through again. It goes back to Fraser again. It's so funny because I remember a Nintendo Power piece on the creator of Super Mario Brothers, and it was just the creator of Super Mario Brothers. Didn't even know his name at the time. It was just some guy with a suit with not even a suit and tie. He had like a short sleeve T-shirt and a tie. It was Shigeru Miyamoto, but nobody knew who the fuck he was. And back then in the early '80s, all the way up through the early '90s, a lot of the same people who were, especially if you get into like the late '70s, especially, a lot of the people playing the video games were also developing the video games. These were hardcore computer nerds. That's who was doing it. And so again, we're kind of on that equal level. So we a lot of people understand what goes into the game design, what doesn't go into the game design, etc. And because, we were making and breaking rules as we go, there's all kinds of reasons why there might be many things that are forgiven. But as time goes on and that disconnect grows and we turn those game developers, again, nobody knew who Miyamoto was. Guy in a short sleeve shirt and tie. That's who he was. But as time goes on, he went from that office worker at Nintendo, that industrial engineer who is an office worker at Nintendo, to being the Miyamoto, the game god. We've crafted these people into gods. And as that lack of understanding of their product grows, we both make them into both pariah and god sometimes. And so what ultimately ends up happening is they get our score and they get our praise, when ultimately this is a complex product that is crafted by hundreds of people at this point. It's so disconnected from the initial customer, and the initial customer is so disconnected from that process. And let's be honest, we're no longer just enthusiasts who play games. These are normie people who don't care about the process. They just care about the product now. That I feel like that same level of intimacy is just gone. And I think that's a natural progression. I don't think you can keep it there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is too, you add a whole bunch onto it after. So you now, which we didn't have back in the day, there's such a big focus on game journalism and commentary. And back in the day, the extent of game journalism and commentary was your name at the top of the article in small print in GamePro or Nintendo Power or Game Informer. And now, game journos have million subscriber channels. And people like Alana Pierce and Smash JT are arguing back and forth about what games are good and DEI, and you have people like Side Scrollers and Melanie Mack that are on the far right and then you have people on the far left, and it's become like a political thing. And I'm just sitting here trying to play like Final Fantasy or Suikoden or Fire Emblem, and y'all are ruining it because it's not political. It never was. I can't ever remember until the last 5 years that politics was even tied to games at all. You didn't know the political stances of game developers or game companies. You didn't know the political stances of the few journalists that were out there. They were just cool people that were on like GTV, or they were, one of the editors in Game Informer. You didn't know who they voted for or what their thoughts on gender or sexuality were, and it was just a better time. We know too much about too many people and too many aspects of the games, and it just sucks.
So, yeah, I agree with that with a little bit of a caveat. I agree with almost everything you said there. The only thing I would say is games are, because people are political, ultimately games are also going to be political. They just are going to be, but it's in the service of crafting a world, at least when it's done well. Now, that doesn't mean, so for example, I think of a game like The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, or a game like Disco Elysium, a game like Kentucky Route Zero. These games are incredibly political, incredibly political. Call of Duty, you can't have a Call of Duty game that doesn't have a little bit of politics. But that's in the service of crafting that specific world, and it is necessarily bereft of those people's real world opinions. Again, they're not trying to, when done right, they're not trying to stuff their commentary in the game, although some of that may enter in. The main goal of it should be, okay, we're crafting this world that people are going to visit. It's a sandbox, it's a world. What does that world's politics look like? What does that world's society look like? Its civilizations? How do the people's thoughts, attitudes, how they view right and wrong? What does that look like, and how does that enhance the gameplay of the visitor, the gamer who's visiting that world? That's ultimately what it should be in the service of. So it's not necessarily that games cannot be political or shouldn't be political. By the nature of who we are, they will be. It's just that are you preaching, or are you crafting a world? And I think that's the difference. I think one gets backlash and one doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's stuff like let's look at Woodhawker, all right? He did a fake Nintendo Direct. We literally have content creators who think they are so important that they will do things like that. I remember Wood also had a fake Switch 2 that he got a hold of, and pretended he had the Switch 2 before everybody. And you see people like them, and you're like, we've added another layer where, yes, we're all content creators, right? And we all think we have valuable opinions, but I do not have so high of an opinion of myself, no matter how many subscribers I ever would get, that I would make a fake direct to try to like prove a point, or as a social experiment. Like, it's ridiculous. That literally has nothing to do with gaming. That's your crazy inflated ego. Did you guys see that? That was completely ridiculous. That guy.
I saw it. Yeah, don't look at me. I always joke that eventually everyone will sound like Zoo. I always make that joke. I've been talking about that guy for 2-3 years, Jay. You know that in private discussions. I've been sounding the alarm on that fucking guy for years. And he's not the only one. He's far from the only one. At a certain point, this is not even his fault. That's the thing. At a certain point, that's why I'm very cautionary on how I approach YouTube. I made an entire video about this, the algorithmic horror of YouTube, and it's all about this idea that eventually this is a machine that makes monsters. It makes monsters out of the content creators. It makes monsters out of the fandom with that parasocial relationship. It makes monsters of everybody involved. And so at a certain point, you will get so large that the character you created will be bigger than you are. It'll be more powerful than you are. There's an entire movie, Perfect Blue, that's about what happens when your creation, basically devours you, essentially. Or look at Garfield. Look at a thing like Garfield, which literally is, yes, a cartoon about a cat who hates Mondays and loves lasagna, but it's also can be taken as a whole collectively as a commentary on what happens when the thing that we create grows more powerful than we are, and kind of the horror behind that. I don't think Wood's horror. I think his character is his persona.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I put out a video not long ago talking about, the dangers of YouTube and how so many, I mean, you don't even really have to name those creators because it's pretty much well known how some of them turn out to, not be on the up and up, and just think about being that fan that supported them for years, gave them money through their super chats, sent them stuff in the mail, and just all these things, and then you find out, well, they did some pretty bad things, and it just kind of makes you go, what am I doing? Why am I worshiping the ground that these people walk on? Because they're just humans like me. They're flawed. They're not any better than I am. And I personally feel, and this might upset some people, but I personally feel like gaming should have just been, gaming when it became mainstream and it became like the popular thing, and then all the celebrities started mixing into it, and then you can make money on all these social media platforms, and then it just became this huge thing for like everyone. It kind of tainted the waters, and I don't want to sound like I'm saying, well, what are you saying? You want to push people out from gaming, like not everybody can game? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we let so much into the gaming space that it's like lost its identity. It's lost what it was meant to be, and things have gotten out of control. And it's not even about the games anymore. It's not even about the love of the game anymore. It's about trying to make money, trying to be famous, trying to do this and that. And it's like, no, gaming should always be about the games. Because if it's not about gaming, then what are we even doing? Why are we even bothering at this point? We might as well go do something else. And it sometimes I don't even know if some people that say they really are like gamers and they love the hobby, if they do, or if it's just like an ends to a means. So it's like, I don't know. Things have gotten really crazy, and I feel like growing up when I did, and how gaming felt, the bonds that I had with my uncle and other people, walking in those video game rental stores, just the experience, the atmosphere, the surprise, the wonder that you felt, the excitement. It feels like it's so gone. And gamers these days, they don't know what that's like. They don't have that experience. It's just like, oh, another million games came out today. Let's just spin the wheel on which one we play because there's too many. There's too, they're too money grubbing. Like it, I don't know. It's so overwhelming, and I miss when it was special, when it was a more intimate kind of thing. And newer generations just don't have that. So that's why I feel they have a lot of um an attachment to these things, that they don't have the same passion or care for it as we do, because they didn't experience that.
Yeah, like kind of touching on what you said, like I miss the days where liking video games made you like a weird loser. Like now, like everyone's doing it. But the thing is, they're so casually consuming it. And I don't want to judge anybody or try to gatekeep, but a lot of people don't have the same experience I do, right? I grew up in the heyday of gaming and really like the when it really exploded. And now I have a 15-year-old at home and I see what he plays. And I can tell you that my son does not play Switch carts. He does not play discs. He plays Roblox and Minecraft and crappy racing games and a whole bunch of mobile games. And I'm kind of scared that when we die, when our generation dies and moves on from this, it's all over. There's nothing left. Like, we can sit here and keep saying we're fighting the physical fight. The kids are playing Roblox. They're playing Minecraft. They're playing Fortnite. And like, I've played Fortnite. Fortnite's fun. I used to be pretty good at it. I used to play with him when he was little. But like, those are not the games that we remember. And those aren't the games that I want. And I can tell you that there's no 15-year-olds picking up Trails in the Sky when it comes out. That's us.
You know why?
Like, that's only us.
You know why I feel like the younger generations are gravitating to those kind of games? Because those are the games that the Twitch and the YouTube streamers play. They're playing those kind of games. And then they watch all these videos. Because my 6-year-old niece, she consumes nothing but YouTube. You can't get her off her tablet. And when she plays games, it's Minecraft or Roblox. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because she watches people that play Minecraft and Roblox. And they make all these loud noises and really obnoxious voices. I don't know how they got big channels. But they watch those kind of people. And they want to emulate it. It's like, oh, I want to be like this Twitch streamer. I want to be like this YouTuber. And I feel like a lot of people, like I said, they're in the gaming space for the wrong reason. They don't have no love, no desire, no passion for games. I'm not trying to gatekeep. I'm just putting out what I feel a lot of.
And
they
use
use
your own
these games to get wealthy and get famous and get in a following. And they have to, they pick the cheapest game that doesn't really cost them any money. And then they constantly just make content about Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite. And then, you know what I'm saying? And that takes off for them. And it's like, that's what's trendy. It's not cool to play the Trails games or Morrowind or anything that has real story and depth to it anymore. And I don't know what has happened.
And
Like,
let me also interject that with my son, right? And I told you he's only playing those games. That is with having a game collector father. I bought him probably 30 PS4 and PS5 games. He's had every console, every handheld. He's had Vita, PSP, DS, 3DS. He's had all the consoles. He's probably got 30 Switch games of his own. And that's with a collector father buying him games. Imagine a kid whose parents don't play games, that don't collect games. They're definitely not playing any physical games. They're definitely not playing any JRPGs or strategy games or anything like that. And so, like I said, with my son hardly consuming that media, and that's with a collecting guru father. So it scares me to think about someone who doesn't have that.
Well, and what I want to add to that is not to take anything away from Minecraft. Minecraft is, I have written probably a book by now on the brilliance of Minecraft as a game. Mm-hmm. Fucking brilliant masterclass of a game. As far as being a video game, it is. But, in terms of why, the question needs to be asked, and I don't know anything about Roblox, I don't know anything about Fortnite. Those are phenomenons I do want to look at some point. But it is worth looking at what exactly it is about these games. Not that this is the be-all, end-all. I posited that a lot of gaming phenomenons have bricks in common. The breaking of bricks, whether it's Tetris, whether it's the original Super Mario Brothers, whether it's Minecraft. There's just something in our psyche about breaking fucking bricks that really, really seems to make games take off. But then there's all kinds of games about breaking bricks that don't take off. So there's a real magic happening in the games that are genuine phenomenons. That's the study of how games entertain the human mind. It's called ludology. That really, really does need to be looked at. And it's not only so that, just to make another Minecraft, but also so that games like Trails can take some of those lessons and apply it to the commercial success of their games.
I think one of the things that is in common with Fortnite and Roblox is that there is no narrative to them, really. That the gamer can make their own narrative. In many of those games,
There it is. Yep.
you can be a creator and you can make a
Uh,
game within a game. Like Roblox,
Yeah.
with minimal programming knowledge, you can use the tools you're given to make your own game. So I think the younger gamers want a game where there is no narrative or they create their own narrative and rules, whereas we want an experience presented to us. That's what I
Yeah.
think may be going on
Yeah.
there.
I've always said
Yeah,
that
I
video
think
games
that-
operate best as a stage play. So what I mean by that is you're not the person sitting watching the play passively. You are the actor on the stage. In the best games, whether
Yeah.
it's narrative-focused games or Minecraft or non-narrative focused games, make you the decision maker. Like fuck the game developer. I don't care about your story. Let me tell my story in your world. And even narrative-driven games like Trails and Final Fantasy do that effectively and give the illusion that you are doing that as the stage actor with leveling up and controlling how you level, etc. You're set up for like your orbs or whatnot. They all do that very well. The games that are successful.
I wanted to say what Jay said is really right, because like my niece, who's a 6-year-old, she's watching these people with a really annoying shrieking voice. And they use Minecraft to make their like stories, and they make it like a cartoon, and she's watching it and they're all screaming, saying that all kinds of crazy things happen. So they use that. They use that to create their own story and make their content for people to
Yeah.
watch and consume. And there's tons
Remember-
of YouTubers that are doing things like that. They're
Remember-
using Minecraft to make their own content to make themselves,
Yeah.
wealthy, and it's great. It's Minecraft. So yeah, I could see that appeal to it.
Yeah, red versus blue, man.
But-
Red versus blue.
Yeah.
There
then at the
literally there
same
was a
time,
time.
but it's like, but if those games have so much precedence over other games, what's going to happen to the other games? Like, if people choose that over the other games, are those markets going to start shrinking? Are you going to start seeing those kind of experiences phase out, or will they continue? It's hard to say. I know
All,
for a
all
while,
markets are
like horror games was dying. Metroidvania games were dying. There's a lot of these games that were dying off. They were just a genre that nobody wanted to touch. And then it took, one specific game to reignite the passion for it. And then you saw a resurgence of all of them come out. Hollow Knight, perfect example of what kickstarted off Metroidvanias again. Before that, it was pretty much a ghost town. Horror games, for a while they were just walking corridor simulators that you would only see on PC, and then the engine started getting going again, and now you see a lot of survival horror or throwback survival horror games. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a season. Maybe it'll pass. People will get tired of those games. But it's hard to see that anybody's going to get tired of Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite, because they are so popular. And I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, and I also want to point out that this is not necessarily what a healthy industry looks like. I've been arguing that for years. So a
Yeah.
game like Minecraft should inevitably, like, if you look at a game like Super Mario Brothers when it came out. When Super Mario Brothers came out, okay, that game is a linchpin, just like Minecraft is today. If you pull that out of if you pull that linchpin block out of the gaming pyramid, the whole thing topples. It can't fucking hold. But Mario Brothers, with it, rose all boats. So there was Mario Brothers. There was also Castlevania. There was also Mega Man. There was also Kirby. There was a million other games that were those 2D platformers that rose alongside Mario Brothers. You don't necessarily, unless I'm missing it, you don't necessarily see a ton of Minecraft alikes or Fortnite alikes. You do, but they rapidly fail. They don't succeed. So what you have is you have one game entirely cornering the market instead of the game producing other products that are similar that other people also gravitate towards.
The frightening thing, kind of related to what you're talking about there, is if you look at Minecraft, Minecraft actually did have Minecraft story mode, and it actually did have Minecraft Dungeons, and Minecraft Dungeons was like a uh, almost like a Diablo type
A
game,
Diablo.
and Minecraft Stories was basically like a choose your own adventure, like visual novel, and those games were only mildly successful. I might even say that they weren't successful. So to me, that's a bad omen that these younger gamers aren't willing to consume that property in a different form. So
Mm.
Yeah.
to me, that's really disturbing because I love isometric, like dungeon treasure hunter games. I love visual novels,
I,
and
I,
those were kind of
I'm
rejected.
with you because I didn't like I do not like normal Minecraft. I tried to tinker with it. I just don't care. But man, Minecraft Dungeons, I was like, dude, that's cool. I love a good Diablo, and it looks like Minecraft. I'll play it, and it was fun. I like that. That actually made me want to buy a Minecraft game because it was in a genre I like. Like if they did a first-person dungeon crawler RPG with Minecraft, I would be down for that. Imagine if they tried to do some kind of survival horror game in Minecraft. That would be cool too. I would be genres that I would like, and it would make me buy it, even though I don't care about Minecraft. But it seems reverse for these kids. It's like you give them any other kind of genre in Minecraft, they don't want it. You give them a racing game, don't want it. JRPG, don't want it. They just want the basic
And
Minecraft.
the scary thing is there's precedent because we had Mario make the jump over to Paper Mario and to the Mario and Luigi games, and we had stuff like Lara Croft do isometric games, and those did pretty well too. And to see that it's not working for these modern day games is very concerning, especially when you look back and see that it did work for games before. So, what has changed? What's changed is that us as Mario fans, we're willing to experience Mario in different ways. Us as Tomb Raider fans, we're willing to experience Tomb Raider in different ways. It seems like fans of Minecraft or Fortnite aren't willing to experience those games in other mediums. You make a shitty movie with Jack Black and they love it, but we can't have a different genre of game of that property. People aren't buying them. So I really fear that exactly what Phil was getting at. What place do you actually see your tactical RPG or a old-fashioned visual novel having in 30 years when I'm 75 or dead? Who's going to play that game? Who's going to play if a game like Final Fantasy 7 Remake or Final Fantasy 16, which are both tremendous things, isn't getting these young people to come over, what's going to? That's the best we
Yeah.
can do.
I don't know. I feel like live service type games have really just stabbed gaming in the back. They were not what they needed. Like I mean, I get like online connectivity and playing games with people, but somewhere along the way, these just became pitfalls for the younger generation where now they're just stuck. Like there are people that were literally they'll buy a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 and the only thing they will play on it is Fortnite, Roblox, or Minecraft. And I'm like, you spent all that money on a console and you're not even going to experience anything. Like I have 400 PS4 games back on that shelf with tons of games, tons of different adventures, and they're just sucked into the one thing. And I played Fortnite for a while. They have different events on it and going on. They have like a Guitar Hero mode now. You can run around in like a Lego world, and they have some stuff in there that kind of keep you invested, but it's like there's so many great games out there that you're just missing out on. Um, and I don't know. I don't know what can really get them interested in certain genres or get them out of those kind of games. The only way I could see them being pulled out of it is that they eventually say, we're taking this down. Like Fortnite's offline forever.
See, one of the big things that
No.
I'm seeing is, and that's going, I think, going to hurt our hobby in the long run, is it's not just with the younger gamers. There is a lack of intersectionality across the board. So let's think of us, right? I can honestly say, other than a few mobile games, I've basically at least played some of more or less every Final Fantasy game that I could get my hands on. From the very first one up until 16, all the spin off games, I've basically played all of them. I haven't beaten all of them, I haven't fully experienced all of them, but I've played all of them. I was talking to my wife the other day, and she is a big player of Final Fantasy XIV, the online game. And I was posing some questions to her, and you guys might find this very interesting. I said, April, how many people that play Final Fantasy XIV know who Kuja is? And she's like, maybe 10% of them. I'm like, how many people? I'm like, let's take it a layer deeper. How many people know who Lucretia Crescent is? How many people know who Laguna is? And she's like, almost none of them. And again, I'm not gatekeeping, I'm not judging them. But the people, a vast majority of them that are playing Final Fantasy XIV aren't playing it because it's Final Fantasy. There's no intersectionality. Not a very large amount of the consumers of Final Fantasy XIV are going and playing older Final Fantasy games. And that terrifies me because that's not kids. That might be some young people, but those are many people our age. And they are consuming Final Fantasy content that has a ton of throwbacks and homages to old Final Fantasy games, and they don't even know who the people are. I asked her, I said, what percentage of them do you think know who Beatrix is? She was like, probably none. She's like, some of these characters are mentioned in like these like alternate hard raids that are in the game, but she's like, they don't know anything about the source material. They don't know who these people are. And to me, that's terrifying. Because these are some people that consume a lot. They play the game a lot and they put a lot of money into it. So I might even consider some of them.
Imagine not knowing who Kefka is. Imagine.
Right.
Fucking
That's
hell.
scary. And I'm not judging people. Like, you're free to consume things how you want. But my concern is that not just with like age and demographic, but even your older people from all backgrounds are, even though they're gamers, they're very strictly consuming one type of media. They're not like us, who might play a platformer, who might play a JRPG, who might play a sports game, who might play it on 5 different platforms, that might own it on PlayStation and Switch and get it on Steam for convenience. No one's doing that. That's us. That's us. There's thousands of us, but that's out of millions of people. We are the only ones doing it.
I think there's
I was having a conversation with the Angry Vigilante, and him and I were talking about that. Like the generalist gamer is vanishing. Like, we are now seeing an age of specialist gamers. Like, oh, I play only JRPGs, or I play only platformers, or I play only racing games or only fighting games. And that is starting to. So gamers are starting to bifurcate. The generalist gamer is going away.
I see there's a massive dissociation with gaming right now, and part of me wonders if it's because there's just so much oversaturation that people have become so fatigued that they don't want to see the massive endless sea of games coming out every week, hundreds and thousands. They just want to stick to this one game because it's so much easier. like being bombarded by game pre-orders, collectors and pre-order. Like it's just, and I touched about this on a couple of videos. I feel, and there's so many people resonate with it that they're just exhausted, they're fatigued, and they
Mhm.
just keep pumping them out. Back then, it was a surprise. It was exciting to walk into a store and see a new game you never saw before with the box art. Like, ooh, the only way you would get to know about that game was to actually rent it in a rental store or buy it. Now you can just go online, you can look. Now there's live service games, they're always updating the content. They're like, well, why should I pay a bunch of money for all these other games when I could play this one game for the next 10 years and get new content and update all the time? And that's what they're doing. They don't want to invest in a bunch of games because it's so overwhelming and so exhausting. They just want to play the one game and be good.
There are things that we can do to kind of combat some of this. So, like me, right? And I mean no offense to anybody that may be watching or hears this, but I have
No.
basically stopped consuming video game YouTube. Um, you know, if Zoo puts out a video, or Phil puts out a video, or Mandy puts out a video, or like Brandon, I watch because I'm your friends. And I love your personalities. But I really don't give a hoot about video game YouTube anymore. I still watch even some game journals like Alana Pierce. I like Alana Pierce. I think she's a cool person. I think she's got some bad takes, but I think she's very knowledgeable and she's a cool person. I watch, you know, like a lot of different people,
A lot of different people.
but like I don't really focus on game content anymore. And with that, right, just this past week, I'm at Walmart and I see there's a Gears of War remaster and Snake Eater came out in the same week and it surprised me. And I was like, I want to play both those games. That's so cool. And then I heard people, there was workers there talking about how they loved what they did with the Gears remaster. And I'm like, wow, dude, it's been so long since I played Gears of War. I'm excited to play this. I didn't see it on Twitter. I didn't watch videos about it. I didn't listen to commentators talk about it. It was freaking awesome. I knew the Snake Eater was coming out, the remake, but I didn't know when. I wasn't ready for it, and it was a pleasant surprise to find that because I stopped listening to the goddamn talking heads on Twitter and YouTube. And it was a beautiful thing. And when I finally get around to playing those games, it's going to be awesome because I didn't have it ruined by this toxic, gross, oversaturated environment.
I mean, the same thing is with anime. Like, you can't be surprised by anime anymore because they spoil everything. Like, like for Dragon Ball Daima, I haven't watched it yet, but they spoiled all of the new transformations and the villains, and it's like, why even watch it? It's like with movie trailers now. You watch a trailer, they spoil it. Or with games, I hate when a new game is coming out and they will show trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer, and I'm like, can you stop it? And then I'll have friends like sending me links to it. It's like, dude, I don't care. All I needed to watch was the announcement trailer. I know it's coming. I'm good. And they're just like watching it over and over again. It was like, okay, do you want to watch the game or do you want to play the game? I feel more excited when, like you said, you're surprised by a new game that you don't know it's coming out. You're not seeing like everybody online that you know, like 50 people posting about it. No, I mean, and they're entitled, you know, to be excited or whatever. Like, I'm not saying they can't like post about it, whatever, but it's like, I feel like it's just too much. It's like, y'all are wearing me down. When I've seen the 100th person talk about the same game announcement, it's like, okay, I think I'm good now. I think I need to log off for a while. That's why I said, you know, we need to, you know, get off social media and go play our games and go like enjoy things. Be excited when you walk into a game store and see a new game instead of looking online at 50 people making a video about it today, and it's just I want to
Play
get
Grapple
back to
Dog. Play Grapple Dog.
like,
Nobody's talking about it. It will not be spoiled. Play Grapple Dog.
yeah.
Nice.
I'm excited to watch that video because it's a game I don't know anything about, and nobody is spoiling it. That's what I want to get back to.
I specifically chose.
I do like I also want to get back to the games that we were streaming. Void Stranger, Fear and Hunger, what was it? Heartworm. Uh, those games are so awesome, and tons of people aren't talking about them. I like finding these little titles. Even going on Steam is an adventure because there's all these demos. And you're like, what is this game? I've never seen anybody talk about that. And then you download it and you play it. And like, oh, this is so cool. And it kind of makes me feel like when I was a kid again. I remember walking into a Walmart and seeing the huge shelf of all the NES and Super NES games. And it's like, wow, this is so cool. I miss those times.
That's my. That's why and I had another content creator ask me. It's like, yo, why are you doing Grapple Dog? It's like because nobody else is doing Grapple Dog. That's why I'm curious about it. There's literally nobody talking about this fucking game, and it's brilliant.
And I think that is part of kind of what we were talking about before, and that's the kind of content creators we are. I feel like I have a responsibility to show people things that they don't often see. The other week, me and Phil played Resident Evil Dead Aim. We beat the whole fucking game on
That
stream.
was so cool.
And it was
Oh my God,
awesome.
that's so
And I
fun.
was telling my wife, I said,
It's so
okay,
fun.
there's a lot of fans of Resident Evil that don't want to buy an $80 game. They don't want to play it because the gameplay isn't super great, but they want to experience it. And we gave them that. But for me to play Donkey Kong Bonanza on stream and tell everyone how the Nintendo Switch 2 changed my life, that doesn't add anything. That does not create a narrative. That does not enrich our community. You are literally a talking head shill. Someone literally, not naming names, said Nintendo Switch changed my life on the title of one of their videos. And I was like,
And I was like,
what happened to you? And I'm not trying to be mean. Like, what happened? Like,
It's fun to dive into the collective zeitgeist on something. I think that's really the only explanation I have for it. It's people want to belong, people want to be part of the current thing, people want to support the current thing.
but it doesn't enrich our community any.
Absolutely
You're not showing
I
something
feel like
new.
it's killing
You're not
our
bringing up a
community.
new narrative or idea. You're just jumping on the bandwagon. If I see one more person post a selfie smiling with their Switch 2, I'm going to throw up. Like literally on stream, like puke flying at the camera. It's so old. And
Well, the good news is you don't have to worry about that on any of these three channels, guys. If y'all feel the same, like
like I don't.
I mean,
and that's
I've expressed this to Jay and Zoo before so many times over there. It's like I don't want to sound like I'm being a negative Nancy or trying to steal anybody else's fun, but it's so exhausting when all I see is the same thing over and over again. It just sucks. It takes the wind out of my sails. It's like, yeah, I think I'm excited for the new JRPG too, but can y'all chill with it? Can you it feels like everybody's becoming a little robot. Or it makes me think of, and I know this is probably going to trigger some people. It makes me think of the scene from the new Superman movie. I thought that movie was crap. But there's a scene where Lex Luthor has worker monkeys on the computers typing bad social media slurs about Superman and ruining his persona. What if it's some pocket dimension? Really, that is in the movie, and it's like that's what it feels like. Everybody is doing. Like everybody is just that monkey online all the time, and it wears you down after a while. Like I want our community to be passionate and excited and energetic again. I want to get back some of that magic that is gone. And I don't know how we can really go about doing it, but I feel like we could all personally take a bit of a step back from social media and start enjoying these things or diving into games that a lot of people aren't playing or a lot of people aren't talking about. Um, I've been having fun modding up my Steam Deck, and dude, there's even a way that you can change, it's hard to see. You can change the banner artwork of what you want showed on the Steam Deck. I
Nice.
can make my own personal artwork in themes, which I did right here. And dude, like just finding cool games, translations. Did y'all know on the PS1 there is a survival horror game for the anime Devilman? It's like a Resident Evil type game. It was only in Japan. I found it. There is no true like English translation of it all the way through, but I remember seeing this footage of this game and it looks so freaking amazing. I would love to actually play that and experience that because that's something nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about Devilman on the PS1. Nobody's talking about some of these old games that have been lost to time. And man, those are the kind of things that get me excited. So I feel my interest is shifting more to the retro side out of it and getting back to those kind of things because I'm just excited for the next game that me and Jay play together and me and Zoo play together. That's what I want to do. I want to spend time with my friends, experiencing some of these games for the first time or playing through a game that maybe I played through years ago, but it's been a long time and experiencing again because it makes me feel like I'm with my uncle again and we're sitting down and we're playing a game all the way through together. And that is sorely missing today. Sharing game time with your friends.
And the thing is,
Yeah, yeah,
right, it can be a hard decision because making that kind of content isn't what's going to get you to 43,000 subscribers.
Don't
But
care.
it's
I don't
genuine,
give a shit.
it's genuine good stuff. Like, I will tell you, right, when I was doing those list videos of these games are worth how much, they were getting 10,000 views, and I hated doing them every week. But when I play Grandia with Mandy, when I play horror games with Phil, when I jump on a stream with Zoo, when I streamed all of Xenoblade Chronicles X, I had so much goddamn fun sharing
Mm-hmm.
games that many people had not experienced because I streamed Xenoblade X before the re-release came out. A lot of people hadn't experienced that. I would much rather do that than keep making list videos. I know some people that make the same list video every week and they number them and they're like number 43 and I'm like what? How many more Switch games can you randomly name that you think will be valuable in the future? Like, you literally went to your bookshelf and grabbed 5 more, and you're like, these will be valuable. No, they won't. Like, what are you
They
doing?
just want to make their collection valuable because they ain't in it for the passion. They're in it for money.
Like,
And
go,
that's
like,
another problem that's really bad right now.
yeah, it's so crazy. So, like, even though, making that kind of content isn't going to get you to that number of subscribers, that's what I want to do. And it's not about just us. Like when I think of someone like Mandy who makes awesome lifestyle vlog content about games, when I think of the awesome collection videos I've seen on Monsters channel, like there's so many of our friends that are unique content creators and those are the people that I want to continue to support. And I've started watching a lot of more streamers now too, where I am like, I like this person's personality, so I'm going to watch them. Do you want the floor, Phil?
I've got like I just had to share this off because you can customize this so much and do so many things with it. I mean, it's been an experience. Like I've got all these main games with the box arts, and
How
there's
does
like
it
two
feel?
times I've
How
played
does
the
it feel?
trailer.
How does it feel to play in handheld mode?
It feels amazing.
Does feel good. Okay.
You even get trailers, so you can see the game. Like each game, like it's so cool. It's so cool. Like to emulate this, it's been a project, and I love customizing this thing. I'm gonna have so much fun diving into all these games. Like, dude, I've never played this Castlevania game ever. I have never experienced this, and I can't wait
Oh
to do it.
wow!
And
You're gonna
you
have to
best
find
believe,
Trog.
Jay, you know I'm getting Kuon on here. You know I'm getting Kuon on here.
You're
But
gonna have to find and play Trog, buddy.
oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna like put everything on here that I possibly can, and that's gonna be a way that I'm gonna
Oh yeah.
game. And I also want to stream some of it too because I think it'll be fun once I get like the dock or
So
whatever.
I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
be on
man,
commentary.
I
I
just want
couldn't
to
get to work
experience
on my
all the
PC.
games I never
Couldn't get it
got to.
to work. But if you get Trog working on that, I call commentary on that. I want to be on there. It is a
Oh,
Pac-Man. That's Frog. It is a Pac-Man like game. It's a Pac-Man like, and instead of ghost chasing your Pac-Man, you are two dinosaurs trying to collect eggs, and then these one-eyed cavemen called Trogs like try to beat you over the head with a club and eat you right there. And every once in a while, you'll grab a pineapple, you'll turn into a Tyrannosaurus, and you can eat the Trogs. And it is a trip. It is fucking hilarious. So Trog and Tubin, which is a tubing game.
I see Trog right now. Look at that Trog. I
Show
love it
Trog.
over.
Trog is amazing.
That's cool. I'll have to see if I got it in any of my ROMs or something.
Me and my cousin used to play that and Snake, Rattle, and Roll, man, on the NES. Great games, great times. I could never get it working on PC though, so if you can get it working, you got to call me and make my day.
Well, I'm telling you, I want to put out a video talking about how this getting set up. I mean, um, I'm I'm pretty sure there's like tons of videos of it, but I just
Oh yeah, to get back to what
it's been an
awesome.
experience to mess around with this, and because it's like I've been so disappointed with everything that's going on in the game industry. I hate the poor treatment of like developers by some of these corporations that gobble them up, and then like Microsoft gobble them up, put King building some kind of AI and then fire most of them, or they put out a really amazing game like what's it called? Gosh, that one that was popular on Xbox. They closed up. They made the. It was like the animated inspired game. What was it called? I forget the name of it. Was it Hi-Fi Rush?
Hi,
Was that
Rush,
the name of it? Was it? No, I don't think it was. I don't remember the name of it. But people will know which one I'm talking about. It has a really cool anime looking characters, and
yeah.
they got rid of that team. It was really successful for Microsoft, and nope, it doesn't matter how successful the game is. That team's gone.
Yeah. Well,
And
keep
it's
in mind that if the thing you have, I think it's MAME. It's like the arcade emulator, right?
yeah,
Is that what that is? Yeah. To get back to what Jay was saying about lost media, like the other part of this is these are game companies that totally treat their games like a commodity. They don't treat them like art, and a lot of these games are going to be gone if we don't start preserving them this way. Like there's already games just gone; they're just gone, lost to time. And
yeah, I was right. It's Hi-Fi
it,
Rush. I was
it's
looking
not
it up.
just that it's not just that young people won't want to play these games. It's that they won't even have an opportunity to if they even wanted to.
I mean, right now, like that's important to bring up because right now they may be addicted to the Roblox and the Minecraft and the Fortnite, but what if in like 5 years from now that gets old to them? They start to mature, their tastes change. They don't want to play those kind of games anymore. They want to have a more relaxed single player experience and play some of those games they didn't play years ago. Oh, well, you can't. Those were all online. You didn't care about that then. There wasn't physical copies of it. But nobody backed it up and preserved it. Oh, sucks to be you, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it is important. And I would tell the younger generations, I mean, don't sleep on some of these games because it's getting harder and harder now. Like you can see the big three don't care about the physical media. They don't care about the exclusivity. At least Sony and Microsoft don't. I never thought I'd see Gears of War on a PlayStation console. Microsoft is pretty much thrown in the towel. They don't care anymore because they got Game Pass, and they know they can make more money by just giving out their IPs and making some big business deal over it. Um, Sony is done the same for most of their IPs, um, and I just don't feel like consoles really have much importance anymore because they're so connected online. They're all they're very they're trying to be like PCs, but you don't have the freedom like you can on here. Yeah, they will brick. Nintendo has terms of services that they can brick your console. I saw something like videos that if somebody they legally dumped their own game cartridge and they sold it online and you bought it and you put it in your Switch or your Switch 2, Nintendo will literally ban you and you have to go through their system to show them that you actually own the physical cartridge. Somebody dumped it and then sold it, right? Because they did that hack with their Switch or whatever,
Yeah.
and you get punished for it. Like that is crazy that we live in a world where that can
That is
literally happen.
insane. Make that the customer's problem is fucking nuts.
I know. I mean,
That's not the
it's just
customer's problem. That's Nintendo's problem. That's your problem.
and then it's the other thing about we care so much about specs. Like I shared an article with Jay. They were talking about what was it? Tales of Zillia and how it's going to be like 30 FPS on Switch, and they made this big huge thing and they were bummed about it because on PS3 it was 60. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of I guess I got but it's not the end of the world. And I was like, I was a person that was about the specs. Oh, sorry. This thing automatically plays games after a while.
Here's the thing too about that.
I was all about the specs. Because I was like, oh, Zoo, we want a more powerful Switch and want the games to look better and run better. But what happened by wanting that? Everybody cried for a Switch 2. We got the Switch 2 and it's vastly inferior. Maybe the specs are a little better, but some of those games aren't running at the 60 FPS that everybody said it would. Some of them are still struggling on the Switch 2. And if Sony
here's what I'll tell people. Because I was an early warning on this. I said, hey, if the battery life is bottlenecked by battery tech, what the fuck is the point of having another handheld system upgrade? Because without the battery tech increasing, you can't get to the higher specs on a handheld. What I tried to tell everybody. Here we fucking are. And so what they've done is, one, the battery life fucking sucks. It's shit on there. And second of all, they're having trouble running games like fucking Elden Ring, which are from 2020. And again, that's fine. You're not gonna have an ideal experience. What I always tell people is, do you want the fucking game on handheld or not? If you want the game on a fucking handheld, there's gonna be sacrifices you have to make to get it on a handheld. That's the thing I don't think people understand about the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch is not a console that you can also take on the go. It is a portable system that also projects onto your television.
Yeah.
It's a handheld.
You want to play those games portable and you want it with better specs, more like a PC, then get a handheld PC. There's tons of them. Here's the Steam Deck. Get that. Have fun, right? And
Well, you'll have
you
the
know,
same problem,
the
which is
thing
battery.
is, I also realized this. I also realized this. Yeah, or that. Yeah, the Wii U. Um, have you all noticed that over the last 30 years they make things so much more cheaper, so much more fragile. I had someone that I was on the Fuse app, and I had somebody who was like playing Skyward Sword, and they were playing on the Wii, and I was like, dude, just play it on the Switch. And they're like, I can't. My Switch's battery expanded and my Switch is dead. And I was thinking,
Mm.
you know what didn't have that problem? The Game Boy systems. Because they had
That's Bill.
double the AAA batteries. Like y'all remember
Yeah,
that one Game Boy that was in the museum that was looting charred from a war and it would still boot up and play games? Super Nintendos are now just starting to fail because of a chip in it that processes graphics having issues and doesn't, so your Super Nintendo may be wearing out. But it took 30 years for that
I
to
gotta
happen.
tell you.
We've
Gotta
got
tell you.
Switches and Switch 2s and PS4s and PS5s are not going to. The PS5 is a walking coaster at this point. When that solid state drive run out of reads or it dies, it's over.
Yeah.
You cannot fix that. It's a custom made solid state drive. It's soldered to the main board. You are done.
And obsolete.
The future of consoles, they're getting more expensive, but they're made to break because they want you not playing on the Nintendo Switch for 30 years like you did with the NES, Super Nintendo, the Game Boy. They want you off to the next thing they're going to make you pay tons of money for. At $80, $90, and $100 for a base game. We will get there. I will most likely get to $100 games.
And they just announced the new Kirby game, which is literally a 2023 game, and it's got like 2 hours of additional content. $80. The Nintendo Switch 2 version of the Forgotten Land, $80.
Yeah, pay $80 for half the box art to have text blurb about that big. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do.
$85 for Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
And I honestly, dude,
I like Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Last video on it, and I'll have way more bang for my buck.
But
is this an infomercial for the Steam Deck?
Dude, this is an infomercial for doing what you got to do to play your games because these corporations don't care. They don't care.
We're gonna have a debate here because that's not physical gaming. That is helping kill physical gaming.
It's
that's
not
helping
physical
kill
gaming, but here's the problem. I'm always going to prefer physical gaming, but physical gaming is dying. And Zoo, we had a conversation. You pointed out if this is what the younger generations want, we can't do anything about it. Ultimately, we can do what we want to do with our own money and our own means. But if this is the way the industry is going, we're just old man screaming at the sky. That doesn't mean we can't.
We are. Now, hold on now, because I'm right here. I want to represent myself here. What I said was, if this is what, so I don't feel like any one generation has a right to tether another generation to its system of doing anything. Yeah. But that comes with the caveat of, I don't have to get on board with it either, and I won't.
Exactly.
So you won't see me with a fucking Steam Deck.
Yeah,
but
Phil's their spokesman.
I don't know why y'all would be against it. It's pretty awesome because I get to play all these games and all.
Before
Before
I go at you about the Steam Deck, I've been kind of ignoring chat. Totally Level says in Canada the games are already $100. So yeah, and Allie, good to see you in here. Good to see you in here.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, but the Steam Deck is not really the way to go. I don't like it. you got to look at, for me, right? You got to look at precedent. And if we buy into that and we get on board with that and we start putting any significant money into that, then this is the end to this hastens.
I don't have to put no money into this.
I
I don't
know.
have to put any money.
Yeah.
My
Well,
GOG account gives me free games. I have 100. You can tie your GOG and access that right from there. I have
That's
like
a better
180
that's
free
actually a
GOG
better
games.
But you can load that up with all the games you want. I would much rather open up something like this that's just full of games. Like
Me
that's
too. And
that's what I want to do. I was
Dude, I
just
would prefer that too. But here's the problem. I mean,
you were the first one to fall. That's all I'm
The
saying.
best-
Like
the best to me, the best forms of physical games are the retro games. The modern games have like so much problems. You have to have people in the community try to figure out what's all on the cartridge, if it's a revision. People didn't even know if the new Gears of War actually had the campaign on the disc because of the freaking online required thing, which
Oh,
turns
here's what
out
you
it
can
is
do.
on the disc, but you just have to update for the multiplayer.
Yeah, I get that that's frustrating, Phil. I get that that's frustrating. Here's how I handle that. Here's how I handle that. So I'm not doing all that shit. I'm not going to look for revision number 5 to see if I have a revision number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to get your fucking game. And if I like your game and if your game is playable, I'm going to do the bare minimum. Can I finish the game? Okay, does the game play does it run like a sack of assholes? Well, then it's getting traded in. I don't give a fuck. I mean, and I'll give it a bad review. But I'm not doing all this extra fucking legwork to be like, okay, I want to make sure I have exact revision number 8.9 that has a Korean dialect in it that the other game didn't have, because that's half the fucking patches they get anyway. It's like, oh, it's like minor tweaks, and here we're gonna add a Saskatchewani dialect, and none of that matters. It just doesn't matter.
and,
It does
and
if you
all
speak
of that
that
stuff was so insincere when all the content creators were all about that. They're like, oh, latest revision, no updates needed. And then all of them went out except for a few and bought a Switch 2 with key cards.
Yep.
Like, complete on disc
I mean,
and
I
complete
would
on
never-
cart obviously doesn't matter to anybody anymore.
Yeah.
And, I mean, but when I have someone that is a big proponent of complete on cart, complete on disc, and they're telling me that the Steam Deck is a generational game changer, I'm like, oh, those don't go together either.
I
That's
never
not
said
complete
that.
on cart, Phil. That's
I never said that.
a digital.
I said that disc is nice to have if I want to experience those games. Am I going to go out and spend $1,000 on getting a PS2 copy of Kuon? No,
You should.
but I can still play it. Or maybe I don't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on retro games. I'm limited on space, which I am. I can still play them. Or you have the physical games. They're still sealed. You don't want to open them because they're expensive. You can still play them. Emulation isn't a replacement for physical games. It's not. But it is nice to have. PS2, I got like hard drives, 2 terabyte, full of PS1 and PS2 games. You actually know that the games on those hard drives in the hard drive bay, if you play the games off there, it's actually better than playing them off the disc because it's reading it and it's loading it faster than from the disc because it's straight from a hard drive. I had no idea. I learned about that and I was like, wow. And I have drives with that, so I could pull out a PS2 right now and have access to all those games. I'm just saying, like, it's not a terrible thing to have a device that has all your games here. And there's a lot of 3DS games I have that are expensive that are still sealed, like Yokai Watch 3. I am not opening a $500 game to play it, but I can play it here. So I think it has its place, just like anything. And if we didn't have emulation, we didn't have ROMs, somebody didn't like crack all these games and get all these things, these games would be lost to time because whether you like it or not, physical media does age, it does die. They are making things cheaper now. These consoles and these games are not going to last 30, 40 years like the NES, the SNES are. They're making them cheaper because they want
do
you
it.
to constantly move on to the next thing.
Hold on now.
I mean,
They do with care. So at least on the Switch, you have to cycle your game cards. So you have to make
Yeah.
sure once every 3 to 4 years you pop them in the system. That way you reflash them. But if
but
you don't
it's
do,
going to be really hard for some people that do that when they find out they have a Switch game that goes for like $300 or $400, and the open copy is $90. They may not want to open that.
Bro,
Yeah,
you
that's a
you
good
just
one.
said I'm not going to open a game to play it.
I'm not opening a $500 game.
That's
I'm
part of
sorry,
what's
buddy.
wrong with the hobby. I'm not opening a game to play it, guy.
Opened it. If it was already opened, I would have had no problem with it. But the fact, when I looked up how much that was worth, I said, if I open this, I'm going to cut the value of it down in half. I can't do that.
Yeah, but
because
are you going to sell it?
Let's say, if there ever came a time where I needed money and I was really in a bad spot, yeah, I probably would, because it's an easy $500 to $600. Would I really want to sell it? No, but you have no idea what you will do when you get in a difficult spot. Even you have lots of things in storage. There may be a day where you have to sell some of that. Who knows? I hope that day never comes, but you never know. And if I don't buy anything with the intention of selling it, but to know that my collection could help me or my family get out of a difficult situation is a blessing. They think it's all stupid. They think my collection is dumb. They don't think anything. But I guarantee you, if I had to sell some of those games to help them out, they'd be like, thank you so much.
Yeah, but if you're buying games and keeping them sealed, you're just buying games to buy games.
We've all done it.
we're all guilty of it.
I'm trying very hard not to, but I'm just saying, like, it just.
I had the intention of playing that way back when, but I was buying, I got in the FOMO, and I bought all these games, and then I had no idea that was going for $400 or $500. I looked and I was like, you buy something, you would always have the intention of playing it, but that's how the internet is. Like I talked about, the addiction to FOMO, feeding off other people's addictions, all those collection videos, people with all their big, hey, I got 50 games this month, look at this huge spread. You all want to run, you feel envious, you run out, you want to buy a bunch of games, even though you shouldn't, and before you know it, you got stacks and stacks of games. It's been 3 years, you haven't even opened half of them. And you're like, oh, well, this game is worth $400. When did that happen? I thought it was $20.
Yeah.
It's up on you, man. It happens.
Total levels in the chat saying, I guess that's where it's different for me, which is okay. I buy games to play them. If I have to sell them later, I'll get less for that, which is I'm okay with. And I am trying to make an effort to do that too, because there was times where I never bought games to have them be valuable because they were sealed, but like there would be times where I would buy games and not get to them, like kind of like what Phil was saying with that one. But I'm trying very hard, like when I buy a game, to play it now, because that's saving me money. Even if it's just one stream or a couple hours playing it, at least I got something out of it. Because if I put it on the shelf and I never touch it again, and it goes down to $10, I never got anything out of it. But if I paid $50 for it or $60 for it, and I did play it for a couple hours, or I streamed it a couple times, or I actually played it and beat it, then I actually did get some value out of it. Because too many times I was buying games and getting nothing out of it. And usually, like, Yokai Watch is the exception, right? Like, very rarely do the games become valuable like that. Most of the time we'll buy a $70 game, and that shit's worth $20 in 6 months. So if you don't get your value out of it when you got it, then that really sucks. So I'm trying to, even if it's only for a brief time, at least enjoy it, so at least I got something out of it before it's worthless.
I mean, honestly, with the way our collections are, all three of us, they're so big now that we would honestly have to play like 2 hours of each game just to say that we played all of them. We have far too many games for us to ever be able to sit down and finish all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would almost be impossible. We'd have to be bit by a vampire and live for all eternity at this point, or find the fountain of youth so that we could finish all these games.
And the crazy thing
Um,
is, like, we have all these games and we keep buying all these new games. And
and we
my
don't play 'em.
problem is I go and fucking replay old games. I'm playing Three Houses again. I'm doing the church
That's
route. I'm
fine. Like,
I'm
I'd
trying to
rather
romance
play-
Rhea. Like, I went back to a game I've played so many times already when I have all these brand new games just sitting here. Like, what is happening?
Because the old games, we have an attachment to them. I often wonder, why am I buying stacks and stacks of like new games that I have no attachment to compared to the old games that I love, that I know I'm gonna play? I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I went so hard on PS4. I have no idea. I wish I would have bought more retro games, honestly. Um, and it's just so like the only ones that can really make sense are the collections, like the TMNT collection, the Castlevania collection. Those make a lot of sense to me. Suikoden, the Lunar ones, because those are retro games brought back in a collection. I love when they do those. Those I understand buying day one because like this is a modern way to play a classic without having to dust out an old console, and you know what I'm saying? Those I get, but everything else, like generic JRPG of the week, why am I paying $80 for that? I have no idea. That sucker will be like $20 on PlayStation in
Yeah,
like a couple
like,
of weeks.
What you're saying there, like whenever I see another game on like VGP from Chemco, I'm like,
Oh,
who
God.
buys a Chemco game? Stop buying those. They're
They're
bad.
horrible.
They're literally like JRPG like maker garbage. Like, what is happening?
They're cell phone JRPG games that have been on cell phone for years. Back when
So
I was
the-
when I was getting games for my Steam Deck, there was so many of those. There
So
was
the,
so many
the,
games.
the Kimco games are not good. Noted.
Yeah, they're not. They're very basic. There are a few that are good that you'd have to look, but there's so many. There's like hundreds of them, and I'm like, what is going
Zoo,
on?
did you just say you think
Do you
they're
have, like-
good?
No, I don't know. I said so they're bad games. I've never bought them. I've
Oh,
seen
okay.
there's like
Yeah.
9 of them.
Well, what drives me crazy is I will literally see people being like, "Oh, I better get that Chemco JRPG collection before it sells out," and I'm like, "Why would you ever buy that?
It's like, yeah, I don't care.
Are you gonna sit down and play As Divine? It's like a 20-hour JRPG that I could make a better game in RPG Maker right now. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, and we literally, some of our collector friends are like, I have to get that. I have to pay $60 to VGP right now to get that because it's back in stock. And I'm like, why are you buying that?
No, don't buy those.
But like
Well-
on the thing of collections, I've seen some people that are like, oh, collections and these remasters are like a cash grab. No, they are the best form of game preservation because like Suikoden 1 and 2, right? I have those games. And Suikoden is somewhat valuable. Suikoden 2 is very valuable. But I think it's exaggerated, but disc rot is a thing. And those games may fail. The Switch cart can fail. But if you care for it and do the cycling like you talked about, it will last longer than a disc will.
I'm going to go ahead and give an old man warning here, though. Now, guys, too, I want to give an old man warning. This is a Zoo prophecy. So this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler, guys. What I will tell you is this is with these collections. Jay is absolutely right. On top of that, I'll add to it, whether it's the Sega Genesis Classics collection, Suikoden 1 and 2, the Namco collection. These are the last time you may see some of these games physically.
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing that out there, guys.
And I will say that don't sleep on some of the older media. So like the PS2 collections and the PS3 collections are also great. And yes, you have to worry about disc rot, but they are more modern than like a Sega CD game. So they are great collections. Like you can get whole game series like God of War. On the PS3, they have all those collections of Atelier, which
Ratchet
they're
and Clank,
also
Jack
now
and Daxter.
releasing on the Switch. Like, there's so many of these things
Did
you
you
can
know-
pick up.
Did you know there was a siphon? You know, it wasn't siphon filter. It was oh gosh, what's his name? Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell collection on PS3. Like the first 3 or 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that one existed the other day. I was like, I should probably get that because it's all 3 of the PS2 games,
Well-
really popular ones, on a single Blu-ray disc. And Blu-ray is a higher quality than DVD, so that is definitely worth getting.
There was one that I didn't know about. So if you bought the God of War collection, right, it had digital codes for the Olympus and Sparta games, but there is a actual separate Origins collection disc that I had never seen before. I had never seen it before, and I was like, I gotta grab that because the codes in my box for the other one are useless. So I was glad to pick that up to have that physically too. But like, Total Level says that they were really glad that the Suikoden 1 and 2 remaster was brought to modern consoles, and so was I, because I will tell you, even though the value has come down a little bit with the re-release of it, whenever I wanted to play Suikoden 2, I had 2 ways to do it. It had been released digitally on the PSN on PS3. So I either had to dig up my PS3 and deal with that, or I had to do the like stressful thing of taking the game out of the case because it's such a valuable game and actually physically playing it. But now I have a modern game that's of regular value that I don't need to worry about anything happening to it. So not only is it preservation, but it's peace of mind.
I'll say this. I don't know what's going to happen with, say, the Nintendo, PlayStation, and Micro. That's the freaking Xbox is dead. That's pretty much, I mean, that's guaranteed. But I don't know what's going to happen with the state of Nintendo and Sony. But I can tell you right now, even though the prices have kind of gone up a little bit on the cartridges, I think the Evercade is a real gem of a device. Like some of the games they're getting, the retro games, and some of these indie games preserved on multi cartridges is really freaking cool, man. And that would probably be a system that I would really collect heavy for if these other consoles are going to go by the wayside, because not only is the system affordable, the home console one, you can load 2 cartridges in it at the same time. It's got 2 cartridge slots, and you know, I you can buy the handheld version of it, play on the go. That's really cool to have all the Tomb Raider games, have all the Duke Nukem games in a cart collection and play them, and have a real physical cartridge with a full color manual, and have that retro feeling on a modern system. That might be the way to go, honestly, because I don't want to pay $80 for some of these games. I don't want to deal with all the Nintendo loopholes and weirdness going on. I don't want to deal with key cards or disk drive attachment slots and soldered on SSDs that could probably go faulty. I just want to pop my games in and play. And I feel like Evercade's got the retro goodness, and I still want to buy physical games. I'm going to get more Evercade cartridges.
I'll tell you another big one that I'm a huge fan of, and they've put out 3 or 4 different collections for both the fighting games and the regular games. Everyone should get all of the SNK collections that were on PS2 and PS3, because if you ever tried to get the carts for those things, they are literally $500 to $1,000 for the common ones. The rare ones are for $5,000, $10,000. But in like 4 $20 game purchases before they get super rare, you can get every Fatal Fury, like Turf Masters, Ikari Warriors, Metal Slug, all of those classics for $20 over 4 games.
Marvel collections and Capcom fighting
Yeah,
collections.
there's the SNK 40th anniversary collection, which is their arcade games, and there's the Neo Geo collections, which is a lot of SNK too. There's like 6 or 7 of
Well,
those.
they put out
They're
there's
all
some very
full of great
specific
stuff.
Fatal Fury collections too, though. I have a couple over here. So we have the Arcade Classics 1, and I think they put out a second one. So that's one. I don't have the second one right here. And then we also have. I might have set them down here. I love going through my games. Okay, so here we go. So these are really important. You have 2 volumes of Battle Archives. This is volume 2. All right, so that's going to cover your fighting games. So the Fatal Fury. And I think there's a third collection that has the non-Fatal Fury fighting games. But there's so many good things. And then they put it out on the Switch, too. The Switch also had another collection. I think it's very similar to the arcade collections. There might be both of them together.
So yeah, the Switch has SNK 40th Anniversary Edition, and it's got, I think, 6 or 7 so far of the Neo Geo Arcade Classics. Or the Neo Geo Classics collection, which each one has 8 games on it.
That's awesome.
Speaking of fighting collections, that Mortal Kombat one that's coming out, don't
Looks
sleep
good.
on that, and also don't sleep on the Yu-Gi-Oh collection. I picked one of those up for $20, but I've been seeing that thing sell out fast when it hits 20.
Are the Yu-Gi-Oh games?
These
Are the
retro
Yu-Gi-Oh
game
games good?
collections are good.
Okay.
And those each have a different card in them too. There's a
Yeah.
collectible card, and there's like 3 or 4 different versions of it. It's pretty neat.
Don't sleep on the Mega Man collections either,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Not at
the
all.
Battle Network one, because that is like every single Battle Network and Battle Network version of the game, and there was tons of those on the Game Boy.
See, those
Those, like,
collections
eight
are
games
a
or
big part of what makes the Nintendo Switch magical, man. There's just so much retro goodness on there.
I mean, but look at some of these. Like, a lot of people don't talk about these. So this one's on the PSP, and I know EA is not very popular anymore, but the EA Replay collection, this is a big deal. And there's even games on here that Zoo would adore. We got Budokan, we got Desert Strike, Mutant League Football, Wing Commander, Road Rash 1, 2, and 3,
oh,
Ultima the Black Gate.
oh my God.
And this game right now, if you look it up on GameEye, it's literally like $7. And you can get this beautiful collection for
Ultima
$7.
Has it got an
Oh,
Ultimate
oh,
game on there?
Yes.
Dude, fucking Ultima 7 alone, the Black Gate is worth 10 times $7.
And it has Poltergeist, the chicken ghost
Oh,
game.
It's got all the road rashes, mutant football,
Yeah.
desert strike.
You're going to put that title in the chat. I don't buy too many PSP games, but I'll throw $7.
Yeah,
at that.
it's
That's
literally
awesome.
$7. EA Replay, 14 hot classics, 1 cool collection. So,
You know,
Ultimate
Xbox 360
Gate.
had some of those that had Castlevania games on it. I think like Symphony of the Night and something else.
mhm.
They had
Yeah,
Sonic,
Dracula X
Venture on
Chronicles.
there, and everyone.
The PSP had quite
Yeah.
a lot of them. They're really good.
Which, by
I
the
love
way,
collecting.
still the Symphony of the Night's still not on the fucking Switch. What the fuck are you doing, Konami?
Yep.
Still not on the
Oh,
Switch
no.
in any form whatsoever.
Now you
But
got me looking
yeah,
at my
I
games
mean,
over here.
I like these collection pickups. Honestly, outside of like, if I feel like my collection could get better if I just stuck with the first party and then only the retro collection games, and just cut out all the other stuff, and I would probably be good. Have my Falcom games, have the first party stuff, and have the retro collections, and buy nothing else. I would still have so many dang games to play.
Yeah.
Because there's too much. And I don't want to be one of those guys to say, well, you're not allowed to develop like all these indie developers. You're not allowed to develop. I don't want to ever say that, because indie developers, they're making some of the best games ever. But when I was looking up some of those 3DS like eShop games that you could get down, some of those are so bad. I'm like, what is happening
And
here? I can't believe they charge for some of these games.
don't sleep on PC collections either, because I know a lot of people would have to have an external disk drive, but you can literally pick this up probably for like $5. Empire at War, Knights of the Old Republic, Battlefront, Republic Commando, Jedi Outcast.
They have Knights of the Old Republic on it? Let me see that. Put that closer. No, the other way. Okay. Dude, that box art looks tight. Look at that. That slaps.
It even has a manual with it. This is like peak PC gaming.
I know. Zoo's literally gonna go get like a disk drive attachment for his
He
PC.
probably has that. But
I always wanted to get the Diablo big box thing. I remember going into Walmart. I would see that all the time. I was like, "Ooh, this is so cool! It's like $20." I'd never buy it. And then I remember I walked in there and it was gone. I was like, "Oh, it would have been cool just to have it because the box was all cool and it had all kinds of neat stuff inside it."
yeah, there's so many great ways to get all these things, and I think that we're gonna see more of it come out because, like I said, some people have said that they feel like it's a cash grab, and I think in a way it is, but it's a cash grab that can benefit us. Because I need those games physically in my hand, whether it's on PS5 or Switch. I'd prefer it on Switch, but I'd rather have it physically in my hand than sitting on some drive in their warehouse and not being enjoyed by anybody. So let them have their cash grab. I get my games.
I feel like there's a huge resurgence to those now, and that's one of the good things about modern gaming outside of all the crap is the retro collections of these games. And they're not putting those out for the younger generation. They're putting those out for us, people that are nostalgia for those games. And I'm glad they are. But like Sue said, that's going to go away when we get too old where we're not buying the games anymore and the younger generations are, because we're the ones that had the attachment to those games. We were there when they first came out. We experienced them. They're putting those out for our generation, but when we go away, so will those collections. And then all you'll have is your Fortnite. And I don't want to be in a world where all I got is Fortnite. I'm sorry.
Here's the good news: I won't be, because I've got my collection ready. I got my gaming retirement ready to go, man.
And that's like I said, I got my collection ready. I got my Steam Deck as a backup. I got my Switch OLED, my PS4. I'll ride out the PS5 as long as I can. But I know that's a console that's gonna. I saw some news article.
Gaming Dark Age. I wrote it out before. I'll do it again.
The PS6 is gonna be they're gonna have a console for it, and then they're gonna have a handheld version of it. I'm like, what? I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. If I continue to really collect in the future, I'll probably just collect as long as the Evercade exists. Because they are retro cart collections of retro games, and they're like $20 to $30 a cart. I kind of feel like it's worth it. The system is like $100 to buy that thing to play it on. That's cheap compared to buying the Switch 2 and deal with $80 key cards or whatever.
And I mean, and realistically, like you talk about the PS6, like I don't even play my PS5 like at all.
I know.
So, and I was a day one purchaser of it, and it's still working. It holds up fine. There's nothing wrong with it as far as like the build, but like they never put out any games for it. Yeah. Like I literally, if I didn't play MLB The Show religiously, like 700 hours a year, it has so little play on it. I don't even know. Like the last time I booted it up was I did get Mafia Old Country, and I played that for like 5 hours, and I played that Bleach game. Other than that, it was baseball all year. I didn't play anything else on it at all. And I will play Expedition 33 on it when I get around to it. But other than that, like I don't really have a use for it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad because PS4 had quite a bit in the games, and then I said the writing on the wall. When you start giving your exclusives to PC, you're gonna
Yep.
stop. You're gonna start losing your brand, losing your identity, and then you're just gonna be a weak attempt at a PC that has a locked ecosystem and none of the freedom. And it's like, what are you doing? You're having an identity crisis. And Nintendo is literally in that right now as we speak. And that is bad because everybody was like, Nintendo, well, it doesn't matter if Sony and Microsoft go down, we'll always have Nintendo until
Right.
Nintendo becomes the villain.
I could have told him something about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Not good.
I don't know, friend. But
Nintendo's every other
but yeah,
gen.
if PlayStation, Sony really is gonna do a handheld PS6, I'm like, what is even the point at this moment? You should have done that at the launch of the PS5 because, or even before that. People have been asking you for a handheld for years as successor to the Vita, and you said no. You chose VR instead, which didn't really go well for you. And if you are thinking about a handheld now, when you got all the portable PCs, the Xbox ROG Ally, the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, you're
It's
wasting
gonna become
your
a red
time,
ocean,
buddy.
like I predicted. Gonna become
You're
a red ocean.
wasting your time.
Gonna become a red ocean, just like I predicted. Gonna be a red ocean.
Yep.
That space is gonna get ultra competitive. Nintendo's gonna really start sweating bullets. Because here's the
Yeah.
other thing, too, guys. Nintendo doesn't have a dedicated handheld or a dedicated console to fall back on if things start going sideways for the Switch 2. They don't have another project. The only thing they have, and that's probably why they pivoted, is their theme parks and their movies and things like that. But yeah, Nintendo could find themselves in a world of shit if this goes sideways somehow.
And it very well could.
And if they ever even think about it for a second of giving one of their IPs to PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, it is absolutely most definitely.
That will not happen. Someone who has studied Nintendo.
I pray that it never does, but
will not happen.
we live in a crazy world now, Zoo. We live in the what did you call the Bernstein?
It takes a lot to shock me, Phil. It takes a lot to shock me. That would utterly flabbergast me.
Yeah, they learned their lesson with the CDI. They won't do it again.
There are many reasons for that. Nintendo is the last company that has any roots in arcades. Okay, they're the last company. After Sega left, they're the last man standing. They view a video game as integrated hardware and software. That's what a console is. A console is kind of that next step to the arcades, putting it in the homes, essentially. So they view the hardware as giving value to the software. So without the hardware, the software will have less value and will not sell. So it is antithetical to Nintendo's way of doing things to do multi-platform release. At least in terms of their major games. So you might see like a mobile game like Mario Run or like Dragalia Lost or something, but their flagship titles will always be an integrated hardware-software approach because that is the entire mission of the console. It's the best of both worlds. It's the complexity and larger nature of PC games combined with the tactile nature and the integrated hardware and software of the arcade. That's the entire mission of
And that's why you see a lot of people is like, I don't care what happens with PlayStation, Xbox. I got my PC and I got my Nintendo Switch.
They're PCs
You're
now.
still getting people that buy a PC who don't, emulate because you can, emulate Switch or whatever, to buy your Switch. But if you start doing a bunch of things that kind of sour like what you're doing now, people are going to be like, you know what? I'm done with you, Nintendo. I'm not going to pay $80 games. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till emulation drops, and I'm just going to emulate it because people are going to get sick of what you're doing. And that's what's happened with a lot of things.
Even without emulation in the picture, look at it this way, man. I gave this example back to Rush Dog in 2012 because he was talking a little bit about the Steam Deck. And he was talking up the Steam Deck and be like, hey, I think there's potential there. I'm like, there's no fucking potential there. Steam boxes it was, not Steam Deck, but Steam boxes back then.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the Steam boxes? And I said, yeah, here's the problem with the fucking Steam box. And it's the same problem that video game companies are having right now competing with Steam and PCs. So, if Gabe Newell wants to put out an actual piece of hardware that has no exclusive software for it, well, hey, and he wants to charge you $800 to $1,000 in 2012. He wanted to charge that. So I raised my hand tentatively. Gabe, I also have so you can do you can have Gabe Newell Steam Deck, which is $1,000, or you can have the Zoo Deck. Or not the Zoo box. The Zoo box is a extra long HDMI cable hooked up from a PC to a television and an Xbox controller.
Yep.
And that's going to be much, much cheaper than any fucking Steam box. I'm sorry, it just is.
You know what I heard? I saw an article saying that they're going to try to do another console, like another Steam type console, and I was thinking,
Let's
I
throw
don't know.
Half-Life fucking 3 on it for once and make it exclusive. They shouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
Don't even
fucking boy.
bother. And it's the same thing. Same thing's happening with Sony and Microsoft right now. It's like Sony and Microsoft are basically making their Steam boxes. That's literally what they're making. And they have to pay $60, $60 reduce every time they want to play a game on the PlayStation 5 Steam box or the Xbox Steam box. So you can do that. Or you can get a PC, run an HDMI cable to your television. $5 for the same game.
The only games PlayStation has not put on PC yet, and I'm honestly surprised they didn't, is the Demon's Souls and Bloodborne. If they ever do officially, they might as well close up shop too, because then there's nothing left. Like, I wish the 4K twins would understand how important exclusive games are to a console. Stop seeing your system as a PC, for crying out loud. That is why you're killing your brand. See it as a game console.
Yeah,
yep.
Unbelievable.
Integrated hardware and software, guys. It's not hard.
So
Nintendo figured it out, and that's why they still thrive. I mean, despite all the weirdness and the things with the Switch 2 that's got me in the nope category, that's at least one thing that Nintendo still has. And as long as they continue to do that, there is a glimmer of hope, even if it might be kind of small. But if they ever got rid of that, like, seriously, all we got left at that point is just
they've wandered into the wilderness again. It's going to be about 6 or 7 years, and when they come out, they'll have their fucking mind right, and we'll get another banger. That's what always happens with Nintendo.
Yeah, that is a real possibility. But we are up against time here, so yeah, we're gonna have to wrap up. My wife probably wants to come home from work. But guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Hopefully we were able to bring some light to some of the stuff that's kind of not going great. And, I don't know that there's a lot of solutions. We can just keep voting with our wallet like we are and keep our eyes out for good collections and good ways to preserve games and be more responsible with our own collecting habits and playing habits. So once again, guys, thanks for coming on. Thanks, chat. Thanks, viewers. We certainly appreciate you guys.
Always.
And yeah. So Phil, real quick, where can everyone find you at?
Phil What Up Collects on all social media platforms. Join the What Up family, baby. Woo!
Zoo, where can our viewers find you at?
At Flipping the Switch, although I've rebranded it because fuck that name now. I'm Flipping the Swit. That's S''WIT.
Love it. All right, guys. Thanks again. And as always, stay creepy.
Hey, creepy.
Bye, guys.